Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of R.C.W. Top 10. This time we're going to be counting down the top 10 Breakout Stars. Now if you don't know what that means, it's basically a short time window where a superstar went from being not as much, or just debuting, or just having a smaller level career, and going into something quite big. Now the term is kind of lucrative, and you'll see from this list at the beginning of the list, it'll take some explaining, and later on you'll probably quite know what we're talking about. Sorry if this list sounds like I'm really frustrated or tired or shiz, but I recorded it after, it took me like 20 minutes to record it or something like that, and I pressed the button on my mic and it turned out it was muted all along. So kids botched it moment, pretty epic. So let's get to number 10. Coming in at number 10 is Creative for Life and Mater the Great 123. Now, Mater the Great is a perfect example of starting your career big. Now, he started his career in around February-March area. Not exactly sure the day he debuted, but on March 14th, I want to say, he won his Cruiserweight Championship. And not too long after, he won the United States Championship, both of which he would hold for a moderately long time. Would go to WrestleMania against the Intercontinental Champion for both his United States Championship, and the Intercontinental Championship was unsuccessful, and then the night after would become a two-time United States Champion. He then would eventually lose it, go a long hiatus away from R.C.W., but that's not what we're counting. We're counting his debut in this thing. Creative is a perfect example of starting his career decent, going on a long outing, and then kicking his career back up. So around May, he would win the Raw WWE Championship, hold it for a moderately decent reign, and then in December, just 7 months later, he would win the World Heavyweight Championship, the Intercontinental Championship, the World Tag Team Championship, and that was all within about a month time. So that's Creative and Mater coming in at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is Brooksy 4 is a Brooksy. I don't know why I always say that, but anyway. Now, we're counting the debut in the coming months of her career. Now, it began off on November 8th, where she would win the Cruiserweight Championship and the Divas Championship. Not too big, but a really good start. Then, later on in the month, would win the Intercontinental Championship, kicking up speed. Would almost break the longest reign and would have one of the longest reigns for the Intercontinental Championship even to this day. Would then main event 2 consecutive pay-per-views for the R.C.W. Championship, and then on her second main eventing time would win the Raw WWE Championship and hold that for the second longest singles title reign to this very day. Now, that's a little bit longer stretch than some, but it's the fact that she started up good, kept going good, and then hit it big. So, if you really want to nitpick, we're counting her Raw WWE title reign at the very least. So that's Brooksy coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is Agent Cool the Best. Now, this is a little more complex of one. He started his career early on the Intercontinental Champion, looking as though he would just be some average Intercontinental Champion, nothing special about it. But then he would defend against over a dozen opponents and near 24 of them in his first reign, lose the championship briefly, and then re-win it again just a few days later to get over 25 defenses totaling up to almost 29 attempts to defend, and 27 of which successful. He then soon would after become the Tag Team Champion, the Tag Team Champions, with Ethan JB6th, and the Raw WWE Champion. Now, there's so many different elements, and they all happen within a couple months, but we're only going to count one of them as the breakout, and that's really your decision. So, both of which can be applied, but we're only really going to count one in this situation because of how spread out they were. So that's Agent Cool the Best, coming in at number 8. Coming in at number 7 is Dean Ambrose Maniac 45. Now, he started off his career fairly well as the United States Champion, right? He had the longest reign, would eventually lose it for just 2 weeks, would regain it, and become a 2-time United States Champion. He would then go on a massive streak of losing the R.C.W. Championship matches, losing the United States, losing various different N1Cs, and would become inactive because of computer issues. He would then return just before Money in the Bank, go in the Money in the Bank R.C.W. Championship contract match, would win, would use that contract trading into kids to give a World Heavyweight title match and a World Tag Team title match. The World Tag Team title match, he was successful with Painful Cool Dude, 54, or was it Tag Team? I can't remember. And then he would face Ethan JB6 in the main event of SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight Championship. And he would also be successful and become a Triple Crown champion, all because of his breakout in winning the R.C.W. Money in the Bank. That's Dean Ambrose Mania, coming in at number 7. Coming in at number 6 is Flakuchu 8 and Mam Mam Hockey 2020. Now, pretty much every single list you see that involves being a rookie and starting out or anything of that sort or most accomplished, you get my point. These two will come up as equals. Now, skill or not, that's pretty well undeterminable for the time being. Flakuchu 8 comes a little lower than he possibly could be because of how gradual his rise to the top was, whereas Mam Mam's was a little more up front and sudden. Flakuchu 8 would start off his career as an NXT champion for just 3 days. Then, at the Night of Champions pay-per-view, would become extremely successful in winning the Intercontinental Championship and the Tag Team Championship to become the longest reigning Tag Team Champion. Not too long after, he would become the World Heavyweight Champion. After putting it all on the line, giving up his United States number 1 contendership for a 1-6 or less shot at the World Heavyweight number 1 contendership, and in one of the closest world title matches, make sure to go check out that top 10 closest world title matches, shameless promotion, and he would capture the World Heavyweight Championship. Mam Mam, however, would become a 2-time NXT champion, and shortly after leaving the NXT division, would challenge Agent Cool Tough Guy for the Raw WWE Championship, and would capture the Raw WWE Championship to go on to be one of the longer reigning versions of him, lose the championship to create Jacob, and would re-win the championship, making him a 2-time Raw WWE champion. That's Mam Mam and Flakuchu coming in at number 6. Coming in at number 5 is Eddie Armour 9373. Now, he probably could be considered a little higher on this list, but he started his career in this way. Took about 4 weeks exactly to win the World Heavyweight Championship at the Road to WrestleMania pay-per-view, would go on to be the longest reigning World Heavyweight Champion, and would become Tag Team and World Tag Team Champion in that hiatus. Now, while the World Tag Team Championship, or the actual World Heavyweight Championship, would mean that this breakout was a little more spread out, and only the Tag Team Championship would be counted in his actual breakout, we're counting it all because it was one reign. And that is Eddie Armour 9373 with his debut coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 4, and sorry, it was Eddie Armour coming in at number 5, but coming in at the real number 4 is Ethan JB6, who started off his career actually quite exceptionally well, but not someone of actual attention because both of these reigns were extremely short and were either 0 days or 5 days. He was the R.C.W. champion and the United States champion upon recent to his debut. He would go extremely low card, no offense, in the later goings. And then once it hit King of the Ring, when he qualified and almost nobody thought that he was going to be the victor, with Mattis being a huge uprise, Eddie and Brooke being very high talented people in there, and his own brother being in there, I mean, how could you think he was going to win? But he did. He won the King of the Ring tournament, won the World Heavyweight Championship, main evented SummerSlam, and then recaptured it at Night of Champions, and became the Tag Team Champion not once but twice in this short time frame. Now, really, he did start off his career well, but we're mostly counting the breakout that he had back into significance around the King of the Ring region. That's Ethan JB6 coming at the real number 4. Coming in at number 3 is Nesquik 1. Now, what more can you say about it? The beginning of his career looked like it could be successful. It wasn't successful. He went for the Intercontinental Championship many a times and lost every single one of them. Seeming absolutely hopeless for the Intercontinental Championship, he gave up on that pursuit. Later on would send out a challenge to Eddie Armour that Eddie Armour could just not refuse at WrestleMania 1 for the World Heavyweight Championship, in which Ness fought one of the hardest matches to this day and is still well known for his main event at WrestleMania, and was unsuccessful yet again. He would go on a large time of not being active, time not getting championships, losing title matches, and then would eventually hit his stride and hit his breakout when he won the World Heavyweight Money in the Bank briefcase, would cash in just 2 weeks later against Ranger 92, and 2 weeks or 3 weeks after that would capture the Raw WWE Championship. So that's Money in the Bank for World Heavyweight, and Raw WWE all within 3 weeks. That's Nesquik 1 coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is Rabid Cool Tough Guy. Now, it's arguable that he's number 1, and anyone that thinks he should be number 1, I completely agree with. But at the same time, we make the list, we upload the list, we make the list, we publish the list, we edit the list, all kinds of stuff. So I think that you should give us the benefit of the doubt on this one. But if you think it should be number 1, then I think it could be 2. Anyway, Rabid Cool Tough Guy started off his career fairly mediocre, looking exactly like the Hurricane and living forever in the shadow of the Hurricane, just wishing that he was him. Hurricane, however, was not too successful, took an inactive break, came back, stand back, there's a Hurricane coming back, and then he would go away again, and somebody that looked really similar named Simon Dean, with his patented Simon system, would absolutely dominate at Hell in a Cell, becoming the Intercontinental and European Champion. Then, boom! Simon Dean went away. He went to do some massive workouts, crunches, push-ups, weightlifting. Oh yeah, it was the whole kit and caboodle. He practiced on wrestling and became an Olympic gold medalist, and wore really creepy singlets that makes dudes uncomfortable with the American flag all over it. Yeah, it's barely covering the nipples, Kurt. Anyway, he would then win the world's... Well, sorry, that's botch as hell. But that is the Royal Rumble he would win. The second ever annual Royal Rumble, the United States Championship, and 2 Cruiserweight title reigns. And who knows, WrestleMania could be his biggest breakout of them all. That's Rabid Cool Tough Guy, Dash Hurricane, Dash Kurt Angle, Dash Simon Dean. All very similar people, all probably related. Coming in at number 2. Coming in at number 1, if you know anything about breakouts and you know anything about R.C.W. history, you know it is Mattis320. The guy practically started at nowhere. He was someone wearing Fruity Pebbles Cena outfits and has been wearing them ever since. And at first, it kind of seemed a little ridiculous, kind of seemed a little silly, and no one really took it seriously, until it finally got over with the fans and finally stuck with them. Then at the King of the Ring pay-per-view, more fan support than any superstar has ever received. This very kind, very caring, and very dominant superstar with a passion for the John Cena gimmick would enter into the King of the Ring, be successful in his first round, go to the second round, be one of the fan favorites for, win the United States Championship 2 times, and the Raw WWE Championship 2 times in just a short time frame, the World Tag Team Championship, and then short after would win his third United States title reign, and since then has been the longest reigning United States champion, all from that one fateful day where he qualified for the King of the Ring tournament. That's Mattis320 coming in at number 1. Thank you, R.C.Ws, for checking out this episode. Little frustrating, little botched, and let's play a little game. I made a couple errors that I actually willingly knew about and didn't actually re-record because I'm finishing this episode at 12:01 a.m., and technically, this episode's actually being made on the same day that's coming out. But anyway, thank you for checking out this episode of RCW Top 10. I'm sorry that I was a little tired and frustrated in this episode because I had already recorded it successfully and turned out the mic wasn't unmuted. But yeah, hopefully it was at least semi-decent. Anyway, make sure to check out RCW content Sunday through Saturday. Very exciting content that you want to check out. And top 10s every single weekend, various content from here to there, satirical films, podcasts that I'm trying to get back on schedule with, but have to, lots of things to keep up with. And 2 top 10s on pay-per-view weekends. This one pay-per-view is going to be the granddaddy of them all, WrestleMania 2. You're not going to want to miss it. So many matches you have to be anticipated for, and Hall of Fame inductions will happen just the night before, and an RCW update video that you're sure as hell not going to want to miss. I'm KidsRock4, and I'm approving this message.